What a gorgeous, gorgeous day today is. Blue sky, you can't see it, but all this green canopy around me, and just what a wonderful time to be in the woods here. What a wonderful time to bring you an Appalachian Trail community news and Thru Hiker update. What's going on the trail? What's going on with the Thru Hikers that are out there on the AT? Let's go ahead and get started. So Rogue is north of Hot Springs and says there's lots of blowdowns in that section. Said the crowds have thinned out somewhat, but occasionally they're passing at least one small bubble. Secretary, he has hit the last state line up in Maine. Of course, it's been pretty cold up there, a lot of snow and stuff on the ground for him. I asked him what's he going to do when he gets to Katahdin and the Hunt Trail system, which is how you access the actual Katahdin up there. It's actually Baxter Peak, but Katahdin is the mountain, and that's where you access the sign, and that's where the northern terminus of the Appalachian Trail is. I asked him, what are you going to do if you get there and it's closed? And he said he's just going to hang out till it opens up. So I don't know what he's going to do. Some people in that fix, they wait when they get the Shawls. A lot of people just hang out at Shawls for a while or go do some work for stay somewhere at a hostel. So we'll see what happens to Secretariat when he gets up there. But currently he is trail north of Wrangley, Maine. So he stopped into Wrangley, Maine, got him a resupply, and it looks like he got back out on the trail and is heading on north. Aquaman, he is done. So Aquaman is our first Sobo of the year, and he has finished his hike at Springer Mountain. So congratulations, Aquaman. What a great hike. Been really neat following him and seeing all the people getting their picture taken with him and everything. So it's just been a real neat aspect of the trail this year to have somebody starting their Sobo hike that early in the season, and he is complete. Groceries has passed the 600-mile mark. Little chap, Roadrunner, Fox, I believe it is, or FOCS, got to be Fox. Cheese ball, 2x4, puffer, and groceries. They have made it to the 600-mile mark. They did say that, and this is Little Chap reporting for all those folks, he indicated that progress was going to probably slow down because they want to walk into trail days and not have to come back. So they're going to be slowing down for the next couple days. We'll talk about trail days coming up here in just a minute. Pink Hot Dog and Mushroom, they are in or just out of the shanties. Mushroom's been dealing with some knee pain and got a diagnosis with a bunch of big words that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce here. But basically she is pushing through the pain. I'll bet it they are slowing down somewhat. Gaia is north of Port Clinton. The Breeze has made it to Vermud. Good luck with him. Probably going to be the muddy season up there, and may even be a little bit of the frozen season, but rocks, roots, and mud, nothing but love for you, the Breeze. Georgia and Sticky Buns, they're somewhere around Damascus. Spotter has made it to Daleville. Bugs is around Pearisburg with his family of hot sauce, Great Dane, Blue Cheese, Tight Tights, Kodak, and Crow. And they are pictured here eating some gas station Mexican food. So it's actually better than it sounds. I have eaten there. That's in Marion, right when you cross over the highway. And it's actually really good food at the gas station. Now, they do not sell any alcohol at the Mexican restaurant. You can buy it at the gas station, but you can't bring it over into the Mexican restaurant because it's only off-premise sales, which means you can't consume it in the gas station. But you can go consume it out there on the other side of the pumps, and you'll be A-OK out there. So that is really good Mexican food up there. Just get the unleaded salsa at the gas station there, because if you get the premium version, it's going to give you something a lot like Noro in no time flat. And then also, Bugs indicated that they had an encounter with a black bear somewhere around mile 590. He sent me a video, but you really can't see much on it, but it was a cub. So where there's a cub, there's a mama, and the mama's the one you better worry about. Letterman has hit the 900-mile mark and is out of the Shenandoahs, heading on to Front Royal. Lolly and Pops, they are car campers, and they are over Klingman's Dome. And I'm going to have to back up on Lolly and Pop. I gave an update on them, so I'll talk about that in a minute. Boogie On has finished Pennsylvania. Florida Flats and Maytags, they have made it to Woods Hole Hostel and now continuing on into Pearisburg and probably there by now. Rick and Sherry, they are past mile marker 775. Bricks has completed the Shenandoahs and pushed through to arrive at Harper's Ferry here I believe it was yesterday. And he was Nobo Hiker from Springer. He was Nobo Hiker number 103. So he's checking in there at Harper's Ferry. So he's getting his picture taken and all that neat stuff. I don't know, he says he's 103, so you would think that's a lot of people coming through Harper's Ferry that are Nobo. Don't know if that's really accurate because as we've seen, the place there has been closed. So that the headquarters, ATC headquarters, has been closed. Even when they opened up, it's been closed. So I have heard stories that there was a hiker indicated that he came through there and there was a sign on the front door that said go around to the back, and then he gets around to the back door and it said go around to the front. So typically don't know whether they're coming going up there, but in any case, that is really not an accurate number there as far as telling you where the bubble is or anything like that. Lampshade and the Georgia satellites, they began their northbound lash from Harper's Ferry, and they made it 200 miles after 2 weeks. They did indicate the water sources and the weather have been fine there north of Harper's Ferry, and they've not gotten their feet wet not one time. Supersport and Melissa, they got started on their Nobo and should be coming in to North Carolina anytime, so they are getting a very late start. Popeye, he's made it to Pearisburg, Virginia. Lucky Moon is back on trail and should be somewhere around the Shanties. And then T-Space, Boston, Chatterbox, and Straps, they have passed the 1,000 mile mark. So thanks to all those guys, all you hikers out there who sent me those updates. Greatly appreciate that. That makes my life a whole lot easier for you to push them to me rather than me trying to go find it. And if you're a hiker and you're not on that support or not on that update that I just mentioned, and you want to be, just send me an email or a Instagram message or Facebook message. All that is links down in the description, and send that to me and we'll be glad to put you on those updates. And if you want to be on the hiker support list, that's down there as well. So a couple people that have gotten off, maybe getting back on. Professor K, he got off due to a horribly sprained ankle. So he took a couple days off, tried to heal it up, got back on trail, and it just was not working out. So he is off and going to go home and let that heal. And then there's also another hiker out who I'm not going to mention their name, but they have also got a horribly sprained ankle, and they stayed out on trail. I think they took a couple days off to recoup it, but they've stayed out on trail and they are soaking it whenever they take a break at like a water source or something like that. So soaking in the cold water, that's wilderness first aid. That's something you can be doing. Just remember, if you're coming through that water source and when you start drinking your water that you've gotten out of that water source, if it tastes like toe jam, and I don't have a clue what that tastes like, you'll know that this particular hiker has been there in front of you. Continuing on here, Preston also is off due to some stomach issues that he tried to work his way through and just couldn't do it. So he is off trail, going to go home to heal up as well. So last week I gave an update on Lolly and Pop, who are hiking with an RV style, and I indicated that they had hiked with Tri in 2019 because their names are Lolly and Pop and they've got an RV, and I know Lolly and Pop are out there. I wasn't sure at the time where they were. Well, since then, both Lolly and Pops have told me that that is incorrect, as well as Tri has contacted me. So that was inaccurate. So I just assumed, and you know what happens when we assume, I just assumed that Lolly and Pop, who are hiking RV camper style or camper style, what have you, camping in some type of vehicle, I assumed that was the same Lolly and Pop, because what are the chances of somebody RV camping, camper hiking, and being a couple that are named Lolly and Pop? What are the chances of there being two of those out there? Well, apparently the chances are 100%. So the Lolly and Pop I mentioned last week, they did not hike with Tri in 2019, and the original Lolly and Pops from 2019, they are in Spokane, Washington, and they are looking at maybe doing the Camp Camino, is what they said. So good luck to them on that. But the Lolly and Pop that I mentioned last week, they are still on trail and doing great. Brian, a viewer, warned everybody of a rattler that he saw that was about a mile south of Laurel Creek Shelter in Virginia. So this is a picture he sent me. It took me a while to pick this rattler out. So y'all keep that in mind. I have heard probably at least a dozen people have reported to me that they've seen rattlers out there on the trail this year. And of course, known that they exist out there. I just haven't heard of so many reports, and I've never run into one, although I have had somebody come up on me and tell me, hey, did you guys see that rattler back there? And apparently we had walked right past it and didn't see it. So anyway, be on the lookout for rattlers out there. Them things will get you. And then bears have been active in the section of the Appalachian Trail at Beach Gap, which is Nobo Mile 90-ish, and Carter Gap Shelter, which is around 93. And that includes reports of a bear that took food and bluff charged some hikers. So a bluff charge is when he runs at you, and the idea is he runs at you and he tries to get your reaction, or she runs at you and tries to get your reaction to run off. But if you stand your ground, then they'll stop. So it's kind of a bluff to get you to run. However, a couple of things can happen there. If you do start running, they're liable to run after you. And if you don't start running, they may not be a bluff charge and make them after you. So you kind of dang it if you do and dang it if you don't. So give them bears out there plenty of leeway. And then the 35th annual Trail Days is happening this coming weekend, 13th through the 15th. So it's actually Thursday through Sunday. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be there. No COVID protocol. So it's going to be everything back to normal. There's going to be the hiker parade, and nobody's got to wear a mask to nothing, and the Congo drum line down there, and all that's going to happen. So I'm excited to be there. That is something that if you have any interest in the hiker community at all, you need to come out and be a part of that. It is a really neat time out there, and do not miss the Congo drum line that's down there in the wee hours. You will hear it when it starts getting cranked up down there. So come be a part of that. I'll be there. I'll be there in the family-friendly camping area that's on the ball field. I'll probably have a come along is going to be coming there with me, as will Mac, my daughter. And so we'll have a pop-up there. Try to get somewhere in the center somewhere, but we'll have a pop-up shelter. And so come and say, hey, I'll have a cooler that if you want to come and donate a PBR or especially a Michelob Ultralight to the cause there, and what we're going to do is you can bring it, pay it forward. I'll let you store it in my cooler. That'll be right there next to me, and then we'll be handing those out as people bring that in to pay it forward. So trust me, I'll make sure that goes to the appropriate people that will be needing it. So the Damascus Trail Center, that's run by the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, will not be open again this year for Trail Days. So imagine that. Last year, I'm sure they claimed they weren't open for, going to be open for COVID, but actually they were not finished. So this is the ATC's Southernmost Visitor Center, and it was started in 2020, and they do plan to be open this summer 2022. Now, it's a small facility. It looks like it's about 2,000 square feet, maybe even 3,000 square feet. I don't think it's that big, but it's mostly open air. It's mostly void in there. There's not a lot of accoutrements, not a lot of rooms and everything. I am a construction administrator for an architectural firm, which is a fancy way of saying I got 8 projects going on all over 2 different states right now. Well, actually 12. All over 2 different states, and our jobs are typically fire stations that are about 12 to 14 months. They usually run about $8 million, and they're anywhere from 30 to 40,000 square feet with a truck bay and a dozen bunk rooms, kitchen, workout room, all these special rooms, decon room that firemen need and everything, and we finish those in 14 weeks. 14 months tops. I don't understand why it took 2 years to build this tiny facility there in Damascus. For some reason it did. I'll ask them and we'll see if they give us a reason. Probably they're going to say COVID, but we have built all these buildings during COVID. During the height of COVID we were building and did not have that issue. But hopefully they will be open this summer of 2022. And then the New York-New Jersey Trail Conference, they have installed a short detour around some flooding caused by a beaver dam. They don't want you to get your feet wet, assuming at the behest of the ATC. But they created this detour, and it's at Nobo Mile 1,346-ish. and it's just about a 1/3 of a mile detour, so it'll add about a 1/3 of a mile to your through hike. But it is an official detour, so if you don't want to get your feet wet, you can use that detour. And then Blob's the reviewer, he wants everybody to know that up in Tyringham, Massachusetts, there was a beaver dam crossing for the last few years that has been flooded out. And if you wanted to take that and stay on the trail, you'd be walking up to your waist and stuff. Well, the water's gone down. It's at Nobo Mile 1,544, and now it's less dry, it's more dry and easily passable now. So you don't have to detour around that, and you will be able to keep your feet dry there. And then down at Trail Days, the One Way Ministries, which is the church that does so much for everybody at Trail Days. They feed you, they provide coffee and haircuts and massages and laundry and just all kind of neat stuff down there. But they really go out of their way for hikers. They're down there at right off the parking lot from where the ball field is, where everybody camps. And at 1:30 on Saturday, 1:30 on Sunday, they are going to be arranging for free shuttles north and southbound. So they'll be taking people that are hikers there that got a shuttle in, that may not have a shuttle out. They'll be taking you to Irwin, as far as Irwin, and as far as Bland. So what a great service, and that starts at 1:30. You'll need to go down there and get signed up throughout the weekend so they know how many people to expect. And then the pronunciation of the trail has actually been resolved once and for all. So you've got a lot of people who call it, there's two different pronunciations, but the pronunciation that is now been resolved, it is officially called the Appalachian Trail, not the Appalachian. If you were through hiking the Appalachian, then you're going to have to go back because your through hike is not complete. You got to go back. You through hiked the wrong trail. You got to go back and through hike the Appalachian Trail. So that's been resolved now, so there's no more arguments for that. And then just a few things right quick. One, if you're a company out there that keeps, I get these companies that want to collaborate with me all the time, and occasionally I do that. If it's good stuff for you hikers, but I get a ton of stuff coming in, and some of it's gear that you might be able to use, but it's all sourced either labor or material in China, and I have stopped collaborating with any firm that sources materials or labor from China. And that's because the Chinese Communist Party there, they are human rights violation with the Uyghurs, and enslaving them. They're stealing intellectual property. They caused a pandemic that they won't let any investigation go in. I've seen where people have died in apartments because they put a padlock on it to keep people in their apartments, because apparently COVID is really going bad over in China right now. And people have died because the apartments caught on fire and they couldn't get out. So I'm not, because of that and their support for Russia on the war in Ukraine, I am not supporting, or I'm not going to collaborate with any companies anymore that get anything from China. So no point in you companies out there sending me anything through Instagram or Facebook or email or anything like that. If you get it from China, then we're not going to be working together. And then finally, my mission trip down to Poland to help Ukrainian refugees, it is coming out, should be coming out this following week. I'm right in the middle of editing that. So it's going to be some really good stuff. Some of it's probably going to be heart-wrenching for a lot of you. And I hope that it causes you to support the Ukrainians more and more, and maybe take some action there. All right, folks, that's all I got this week. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out here.